To Gaming for Gamers. So today, another video about Dragon Age Veilguard. I thought I was done with the last one, but Dragon Age Veilguard just keeps throwing up new stories. So I thought I'd come and stand in front of these two posters I found, because they kind of fit the topic. There is a better way to make games, and we're not in good hands with the developers and AAA publishers we have already, apparently. So, not surprisingly, but since the last video I made, more Dragon Age Veilguard news is that they've kind of pulled all updates. So from what I've read and what I've seen, it's basically, unless it's a technical problem that means the game's unplayable, they're not going to do any more patches or any more updates or anything, and they kind of wash their hands of it. Not really surprising. I'm probably 100% sure that all these things link together. So if you watch the last video, the fact that the technical director of the Veilguard left the studio, the fact that they're talking about all these rumours about BioWare Edmonton that made the game closing down, and then they've stopped updates. I think all these things somewhere link up together because they're all too close together and too much about the same kind of thing. So somewhere they all link. But even so, and even though I'm not surprised to see this news, it's still poor. Because unfortunately in gaming we're often, almost always, at the mercy of publishers and developers to keep updating games. Whether it's a live service where you obviously know there's going to be updates, and we've seen with Concord and Suicide Squad where they say there's like maps of the games going forward and then they just walk away. But even with normal single player games like the Veilguard, we're dependent on them updating bugs, maybe making new DLCs, new content, whatever. And so when they decide not to, even if the game is woke and awful and rubbish and terrible, some people have bought the game, probably quite a lot of people have bought the game, and it's really unfair because it's probably the only industry where you're dependent on the sellers, or in this case the developers, publishers, to keep doing something with the game. If you buy a CD or you buy a Blu-ray movie or you buy a TV or a car, unless there's a physical problem with them, you don't expect to have to deal with those people again. And in the case of Blu-ray movies and CDs, you never deal with those people again. And in gaming, it's almost expected because, number one, you've got new DLCs and new content, but also just because games are rarely released in a good state. They're often released in unplayable states, things are wrong, bugs, things they've not thought about that didn't work properly. So they need to have patches. So the fact that developers can kind of choose to walk away is just one more shitty aspect of gaming, where they make, as with the Veilguard, a rubbish game that's got so many problems you couldn't imagine. Obviously all the woke things, the bad parts of it, and then when they find it's not going well, they just walk away and go, okay, well, and it's poor. It's a really every part of gaming, all the parts with the developers and AAA publishers is poor. The way they deal with gamers is poor. The way they treat gamers is poor. The way they make games, and I'm not talking about anything to do with woke now, just games that are buggy. Bethesda's a good example. They've made some great games, but they're usually released in a buggy state and they need patching. And it's the only industry where you can get away with that. And not only do they release buggy games, they can also get away with releasing buggy games that people buy and then at a certain point go, we're not going to bother anymore. And it's just really bad. It's really bad. And they've only got themselves to blame. BioWare, as I said in the last video, they gave this game to a woke activist director and said, go and make a woke activist game, basically. And if they didn't know that's what was going to happen, they should have. The game came out like that. It's bad, it's rubbish. There's other reasons as well, because I think originally it was going to be a live service game, and it's bad and rubbish, and now they're paying for it. But they've only got themselves to blame. And like I said in the last video, I'm not rejoicing because of BioWare's downfall, but it's just generally sad. It's sad and weird that companies that have decades of experience in gaming and made fantastic games like the Mass Effect series, the earlier Dragon Age games, suddenly don't seem to understand what good games are or how to treat their customers. And they had loads of goodwill from the earlier Dragon Age games and Mass Effect, and it's just strange. Anyway, thanks for watching Gaming for Gamers. Till next time, take care for now.